Good morning, everyone. I am so excited that you're here with me today to share my presentation, Transform Using Techy Notes to Make Learning Sticky. And if you haven't already grabbed the bit.ly, I will be putting it in the social wall for you in 1 second. So you should have gotten it when you came in. Doesn't want to let me copy that. Let's try that one more time. There we go. You have the bit.ly right there, and I am looking forward to our interactions this morning as we continue. I'm Debbie Tannenbaum. You can find me on Twitter at Tannenbaum Tech, and I am very much looking forward to sharing Transform Techy Notes to Make Learning Sticky with you. So if you could go ahead on the social wall and just tell me who you are and what you do, that would be great as I introduce myself. I am an elementary school educator who just finished my 21st year in education. In addition, I am a tech coach. I just finished my 3rd year as a tech coach in Fairfax County, Virginia. I blog regularly on Tannenbaum Tech. I've been doing that for about 2.5 years. In addition, I regularly contribute to lots of different publications, Medium, School Rubric, Teach Better blog, and Rochelle Dene Post blog. You can pretty much find me anywhere at Tannenbaum Tech, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Vox, or Clubhouse. I even have a Facebook group now, and I am super proud because last month I became an author. I published the book that's based on today's session, Transform Techy Notes to Make Learning Sticky. So we're just going to go ahead right now and get started. In today's presentation, we're going to go through 3 different parts. The first thing we're going to do today is we are going to talk about what are Transform tech tools. Once we've done that, we're going to focus on tech tools that promote creation. And finally, we are going to be empowering ourselves using sticky tech tools. So I love the fact that I see people adding in where they're from. That's awesome. I am really excited to have you here today and learn with you. And so we're going to just go ahead and talk about the first thing. We're first going to talk about discovering Transform tech tools. And this is something that I talk about in chapter 2 of my book. One of the things that I talk about is that we can't, as educators, possibly learn every single tech tool that there is to know. That would be physically and mentally impossible. So in my book, I've identified 10 tech tools that I feel like are Transform tech tools. And so I'm going to explain to you what that means. First of all, these tech tools give us opportunities that are not possible without the tech. So for example, right now I'm sitting in my home in Northern Virginia. You guys are either in Alabama or somewhere else, depending if you decided to attend this from out of state, and we're all interacting with each other. The second characteristic is they're versatile enough to use in any setting, subject, and age group. So when we're talking about that, it means that they don't just need to be used for one particular purpose. They can be used in K-12 or higher. They can be used for lots and lots and lots of different subjects. We want to really make sure they're versatile. Excuse me, oops, that went too far. And then the last part of it is that they transform or enhance the learning experience. We should never be using technology solely for the purpose of using technology. When we're using technology, it should do something to transform, amplify, or enhance learning. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. So I'm going to share with you examples of all 3 of these characteristics. So the first one I'm going to share with you is called Smithsonian Learning Lab. And then the second one I'm going to share with you is Edpuzzle. Now, as I discuss these tools, there might be some tools that you're like, well, my district won't allow that. And that's okay. The goal is to think about what function these tools do and what program you have already existing in your district that you could use instead. The first tool I'm going to talk about is one you don't need permission to use. It is a link that anyone can use, and it is called the Smithsonian Learning Lab. Now, I love this. It gives you experiences beyond the tech. And the reason it does that is because you can visit any museum from anywhere at any time. You can take a close-up look at exhibits, and you can curate similar collections from multiple locations. So I'm going to show you a brief video kind of giving you a little bit of an overview of that.
The Smithsonian Learning Lab is a new digital platform that allows anyone to discover and use the digital collections and resources of the Smithsonian. These resources aren't like a traditional lesson plan. They're not designed and formatted and published as a really specific sequence. They're built in a way that enables a teacher to customize them.
Teachers can be confident that it's going to be addressing the things that they need to teach. But at the same time, for students, it's going to be more about them, where they have a chance to explore their interests, create collections, ask questions, talk to each other, complete activities to show what they accomplished. What we want to do is make all of our collections available so it's easy for a teacher to tailor it to those particular needs, to the particular voices she has in her classroom.
Each time a user comes back to the Learning Lab, there'll be new resources available, both new digital museum collections available, but also new resources that other users have made. So it'll be really an environment that's continually changing and adapting to the needs of its users. The Smithsonian.
As you just heard, it has a lot of versatility. I'm going to take you inside so you can see it for a moment. And you can get that through the bit.ly, clicking on that link. And as we do that, I'm just going to give you a very brief demo of it, because if you haven't heard of this, this is something that everyone can use. And my computer is being super slow, so hopefully it will pop up in a minute. But one of the things that I love about this program is that you can search for anything, doesn't matter what subject, and you can get artifacts. So like if I'm studying ancient Egypt, I can look and I can find artifacts from several different museums. So I'm going to actually go back to my presentation because this is being super slow and I don't want to waste time. And so by doing that, you're really able to do some really powerful stuff with that. So you can set, they have these learning lab collections, and these learning lab collections have been curated by other teachers. And so because they've been curated by other teachers, you can then copy them, you can adjust them. It gives you so many choices. Since I cannot get that link to work, I'm just going to go ahead and show you that I've also posted a link to my blog that has an article all about how to use this. So you could actually kind of see some of the ways you could use it. And hopefully that link will decide to start working and I will actually be able to show it to you. But right now it doesn't seem to want to. So yeah, it is not working right now. And I apologize for that. The second one I'm going to talk about that has opportunities beyond the tech is Edpuzzle. Now, why I love Edpuzzle so much is all of our students, they spend the majority of their time learning through video. And rather than just showing our whole class a video and having them have to watch it and doing a one size fits all, Edpuzzle allows students to have control over the pace of their learning. They can watch the video at their own pace, and you can add in questions. You can add in multiple choice questions and short answer questions, and you can add in notes and voice notes. And so by doing that, you're able to collect formative data from your children, from your students. It really is engaging for them. You can't do this without this tech tool. So that's why that example is so powerful. Let's try one more time and see if it's let us in. Nope, it just doesn't want to work this morning. So the second characteristic is that they're versatile enough to use in any setting, subject, and age group. And so the two tools I'm going to talk to you about right now are Pear Deck and Flipgrid. Now, in some districts, they're not Pear Deck. They don't use Pear Deck. Instead, they use Nearpod. Both of these do very similar purposes in the way I'm explaining them now. They allow more interaction with our students. But beyond that, they are really versatile because you can use them with any setting, with any subject and any age. Even my kindergarten students at my elementary school setting are able to successfully use Pear Deck, and yet you could also use it, in up to 12th grade as well, and still be able to really engage those students. It turns any slide into an interactive experience, and its teacher dashboard really kind of gives you superpowers, because as students are posting, you're really able to kind of keep track of what they're doing and see. So I'm going to show you a brief clip on that. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of an idea of what it can do. Like I said, Nearpod is also very similar. And once again, I have a blog post linked if you want more information about Pear Deck. Our next tool is Flipgrid. Now, Flipgrid, I always joke, really keeps me on my toes. And that's because it's continuing to grow and change and improve and transform. In fact, in 10 days, they're going to have Flipgrid live and then reveal even new stuff. So I'm always looking to see what's coming next. What I love about Flipgrid, and you're going to hear me talk about that, lots of these places have templates where you can take and use, where everybody can collectively work together to be better. And so Flipgrid is no exception to this. Flipgrid has a huge library of templates that you can use to get started. And so you can go to their Disco Discovery library, you can sort by age and subject, and you can find ones and then you can copy them to your own grids. Now, this past year where I worked in Virginia, some of my students were in person and some of them were at home learning virtually in the same classroom. And so one of the things I really loved about this is it allows all of our students to communicate and build community in that way. In addition, they have a wonderful shorts camera. It's great for educators who want to create short interactive videos because it keeps it under 10 minutes. But it has so many amazing tools. So as you look here, you can see you can upload a video. You can do mic only mode. You can record your screen. You can use filters, which all of our students love. You can add text. It used to be just one type of text. Now there's multiple types of text. You can use ink. You can use boards. You can add your own graphics. It's such a great video editor and it's simple. One of the things that I find is really important is we don't want our tech tools to be complicated. And I love the use of icons when I teach my students, I really rely on those icons to make the learning stick more. Okay, so our third characteristic is they transform or enhance the learning experience. And so the two tools that I'm going to share with you right now are Padlet and Pear Deck Flashcard Factory. So as I'm introducing Padlet, I'm going to put something in the social while asking you if you've heard of Pear Deck Flashcard Factory. Okay, let's get moving. So I love Padlet. And the reason I love Padlet is that it really allows our students to all see each other's thoughts, which is so important. It promotes collaboration and it has so many interesting and innovative formats, which is just super important. Students can choose to respond with voice notes, using a video. So they have those choices. They can add links. They can add comments to each other's work. And so by doing that, students are really able to respond in what best meets their needs. So really, really important. And as we're talking about, and so just thinking about the fact that it enables all of our kids to work. So seeing as I just asked people about Flashcard Factory, that some of us are saying we don't know about it. So I'm going to spend a little bit of extra time on Flashcard Factory because of that fact. Because if you haven't heard of it, I really want you to have that opportunity to learn what it is, because it's a free tool, which is our favorite, at least my favorite word. But in addition to that, it really can transform your instruction. And it's much more than just flashcards. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take you into Flashcard Factory. And when I do that, remember, this can be used for any subject. So, let's go back to regular Flashcard Factory. So the way you get to that is you go to peardeck.com and you're going to log in as a teacher. You'll see when you look at this screen that you have a vocab list that you can create. And so right here, it's untitled. You can use this for vocabulary, like we do something called Caesar's English. We use it for that. I have a school counselor who used this for She gave kids scenarios and then they had to use it to identify the feeling and draw a calming strategy. I'm going to show you a math example right now. The math example is a simple one, but it's still going to work so you can see it. I've added 2 plus 4. I'm leaving my definition blank. I am now going to do another math fact. I'll do 4 times. Oops. I'll do 4 times 9, and I'm going to do one more for this example. And then the last one I'm going to do is 9 times 2. So I've added my examples. There are no definitions right now. I'm going to go ahead and click Play Flashcard Factory, and it's going to say that my definitions are missing. Still continue on. On your screen, it's going to give the kids a code. If you've ever used Pear Deck before, this code will not be unfamiliar to you. So if I go ahead to joinpd.com, and when I go to joinpd.com, I type in the code DGZCGL, which I'm going to go ahead and do right now. I'm going to joinpd.com, and I'm entering that code DGZCGL. Now I'm able to enter it as a student. This is what the kids will see when they enter it as a student. I'm just going to show it to you. You can see both parts. When I go back to mine, I see I have one worker who's joined, and I'm going to go ahead and say clock in. You can do this asynchronously and synchronously. Last year, we had students who were at home. We even found ways to use breakout groups and do it with breakout groups. So right now, it's telling me that I've entered. When I look at my screen, it tells me I'm on my own because I'm the only one in here, and I'm going to click I'm ready to go. It's telling me that it's waiting to begin. So when I go here, I can now go to Let's Play. This is the teacher view. You'll see that once I put a flashcard in, a flashcard will fall to the conveyor belt. But as a student, now this is what it looks like. It's going to ask me to draw an example of the fact. When I tell my students to do this, I tell them I want them to show how to solve it. So I'm going to take my slider, I'm going to make it bigger, and I'm going to change my color so I can show both things. So I'm going to do 1, 2, there's my 2, add another color, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I can go ahead and use my thing and say, well, when I count them, I'm getting 6. And I can make that bigger or smaller. When I'm done drawing, I click I'm done drawing. And it's going to ask me to give an example. If you're working in partners, each person would do this. I can write a word problem. There were 2 cookies on the table, and mom left, put 4 more down. How many cookies are there now? Okay, kids are going to make up scenarios. They say they're done writing, and it's going to show you, here's my picture. If I like what I have, I ship it, and I'm going to see that flashcard fall down, and it looks like on that conveyor belt. So I see somebody else got in as well, which is awesome. Once I'm done, and I can go through all of those examples, I get a chance to look at this and decide, is this a good example in quality control or not a good example? If I like it, I can press the check and it goes on. If I don't like it, I can go X and it won't go on. From here, you can export it to GimKit Live or create a set of flashcards. It's a really great activity. So I'm hoping that if you haven't tried it before, it's super easy to use and that you explore it. So with that being said, we're going to continue on. And what I'm going to ask you to do right now is we are going to take a little bit of time to process. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a link. And this link is for a Jamboard that you'll be using throughout the presentation. So please leave it open. So when you get in this Jamboard, what I would like for you to do is I want you to think about transform tech tools. And I'd love for you to give me a headline, something that encapsulates the ideas that we've just talked about transform tech tools. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that, and then we're going to go ahead and continue on, but I want to give you some time to process. And as you do that, feel free to either use those sticky notes or the text. About 1 more minute left. Okay, I see a lot of people adding in. I know some people are still working, but I love what I see here, the jazzing up learning with Transform Tech, using tech tools to make less transform lessons and make them interactive. I see interactive several times. Awesome. And this will continue to stay open. Please leave this open because we're going to be using this throughout today's session. I love the interactive part. So, so important. So we're going to go on to the second part of today's session, and that focuses on tech tools that promote creation. And I'm going to share 3 of them with you. So the 3 I'm going to share with you are Wixie, Google Slides, and Adobe Spark. Now, in my experiences working with others, usually Wixie is the one we have the least experience with. Wixie is a paid subscription, but I'll show you if you're interested in learning more about it, how you can get a free trial for 30 days. So let's go ahead and get started. Wixie is a kid-friendly creation tool that we use in my district, K to 5. I really like Wixie because it amplifies student voice and it gives them lots of choices. When I say it gives them lots of choices, students can choose to draw using the paint feature. There is an unlimited amount of stickers or royalty-free clip art. They can use video, they can use voice, or they can combine all of those in one place, which is one of the reasons I like it, is because sometimes we want to give our students choice, which we should, but we struggle with 10,000 different programs. Well, this program lets them do pretty much almost anything in there. They can create multiple pages. They can do one page. It gives them lots and lots of choice. So I always start my kindergartners with this project. I like to give very open-ended activities with my students so that I can really get them engaged and learn about them. And this is how we start with kindergarten, with a snow globe, because anything can go in a snow globe. The students start off by adding 3 stickers. And then the next time they work, they learn how to use the paint bucket and shade. Everything is very visual and focused on icons. And if you want to learn more about the icons, that's the next session I'm doing at 10:45. I'm going to talk about creating with our littles a little bit more. Then they learn how to add words or add video or add sound. Really fun activity. This is another one we do. We do a lot with career readiness. First, what do you want to be when you grow up? You can draw it, you can use the clip art, video, sound, and how does it support the community? This is one from from when we do computational thinking. We have to learn about what an algorithm is. What do we do first, second, third, and fourth? And they can use those pages for any of those modes that they want to, really incorporating the multimedia. This is also a super easy program for teachers to use to review and manage work, because every time a teacher assigns an assignment to their classes, and in our district, it works through our student information system, you can click on an assignment and see everyone's assignment and provide them feedback within the program. It's just super easy to use. And I've attached a blog post to Wixie, but I have quite a few on my blog if you want more information. Google Slides. I'm using Google Slides right now for a very traditional purpose. Okay, I'm presenting to you. And it is a presentation program, but there's so much more that you can do with Google Slides to create versus just creating presentations that somebody's going to talk and tell you about. So here's a couple of the examples that I love to use. This one is a collaborative slide deck where everybody has edit rights. Now, when everybody has edit rights, that means that you have to be really intentional and make sure every single person is assigned a slide. So in this is using a thinking routine, and I'll be sharing more about thinking routines at 11 o'clock today. And what they're doing is they're looking for an article that relates to what they've been learning about for the American Revolution. Every student has their slide. So if you're in our classrooms, we have students numbered from like 1 to 26, and number 1 knows they go to slide 27. And so first they have to say, how does this connect to what they've learned? And they write that in this second column. In the first column, they put the citation down so we can model responsible digital citizenship. Then how does this extend our learning? And finally, what challenges them about it? This example is not mine, so I can't take credit for it. It's Casey Bell's of Shake Up Learning, and it's her magnetic poetry. She's taken all these words, and she has this for multiple seasons, and she's saved those words as images so that way they can't be manipulated. And then students can grab those words just like you could on a refrigerator and create their own poetry. This particular example down here is ones my first graders use. They've put all of these images in the margins using kind of an interactive slide template, so that all the students need to do is move those over. They're still creating their own original work. However, they're getting lots of choice and voice in it. The last example I'm going to share for this particular one is Adobe Spark. Adobe Spark is a newer tool to my toolbox. At first, when I started teaching and working as a tech coach, Adobe Spark wasn't approved for kids under 13 in my district. Now it is. You have to be really careful that you're picking Adobe Spark for education and not regular Adobe Spark. There are differences. When we talk about Adobe Spark, it has 3 different components. The first component is Spark Post for graphics. And one of the reasons things I really like about Adobe Spark Post as an educator is it will tell me what size things I need for different types of posts. But it also has some really powerful tools. Adobe Spark's, I guess, mantra is if you click it, you can change it. And that makes things super easy for our students. We want to make sure we give our students creation tools that give them lots of versatility, but we also want them to be simple so that they can use them and they're not spending all their time figuring out how to use them. So that's just super important as we're figuring all of that out. In the bottom here, this is an example of using Adobe Spark posts that my third graders did. Part of Smithsonian Learning Lab is also called open access, and that is public domain images that students can use. And we did this activity called How to Make a Stegosaurus, which was shared on the Smithsonian site. And basically what the students did is we were learning about China. And I allowed them to do a search of ancient China using open access, and they were allowed to download up to 10 images that they were going to use for this project that were part of the public domain. What this project has them do is take something that is existing and remix it to create something new. So that's just a super important skill for them to understand, is they need to understand that sometimes we don't have to recreate, but we can also do that remixing when we're working on things. And that's part of that creativity process. So students then took them, they were able to crop them and rotate them and play with them and create all sorts of interesting creations doing this. They really loved this. And it was funny because we would do it one way and I would have students raising their hand and telling me that they're done. And one of the things that I learned about when I went to an Adobe creativity conference is that it takes 10 ideas. So you have to be on idea 11 until you really get creative. So for them, I really kind of pushed them and I was like, well, let's see what else you can do. Let's see if we can make it even more creative. Let's try to remix it again. And really pushing that idea with our students, because our students are very quick to say that they're done. And we really want to promote that metacognitive habit of continuous improvement and not just being done. Spark Pages for web pages, and then Spark Video, which is my favorite part of Adobe Spark, is for videos. Now with Adobe Spark Video, you have the possibilities of adding photos, video clips, icons, or your own voice and music. So one of the things I love about it is that anybody can create an Adobe Spark video and it looks professional. In the example I'm going to show you next, my sixth grade students had gotten a chance to make museum exhibits about the American Revolution. And what we asked them to do here was use Adobe Spark to create a trailer so that other people would want to see that. This did a couple of different things. One, it helped them learn how to use Adobe Spark, which is something they all really enjoyed. But more than that, it helped them really look at their exhibits and do some analysis of what made their exhibit engaging. Why would somebody want to see their exhibit? How could they persuade others to see their exhibit? So there's a lot of metacognitive skills that are in there, and they really kind of had to think through how they were going to do this. The one I'm going to show you has no voice, and I think that's part of the reason it's so effective. All of the pictures that you're seeing are part of Adobe Spark, so they didn't have to worry about citations because they were part of the public domain, and they just did such a nice job pairing it all together. So as you can see, looking at this, I just love how they put this together. And this was not the only one. There were so many amazing products that the students created. So we're going to go ahead back to that Jamboard. So I'll go ahead and put that link in the chat in the social wall again. And this time, what we're going to be focusing on is the idea of creation. Oh, wow. Let's see. So many more things added. I can't wait to see. Let's see. Oh, awesome. Love it. So to get to the second page, please make sure you click that next frame, and you're going to see take note, which is our next processing activity. And all of these activities that I'm sharing with you, they're all thinking routines. And that's, like I said, something that I'm going to be sharing at 12 o'clock today. So if you want to learn more specifically about them, I'm happy to share that with you, or you can watch it recorded if you're interested. This is what I would like for you to do. I want you to think about what we just talked about. Either share what's the most important point, something that maybe you're still finding challenging, puzzling, or difficult to understand, something you found interesting, or a question you'd like to discuss. So once again, like we did before, grab those sticky notes and bring them in. I'd love for you to respond to one. If you would like to respond to more than one, that's great as well. And so I'm going to give us about 4 minutes right now to work on that. So select at least one of these to respond to. And I'm going to let you guys do some processing. I have to say, I am loving looking at what you're putting on this take note. So many amazing ideas. So I did use the text tool so I could give you a couple of different comments as you were working. I am so glad that you're finding so many of these things helpful. Wixie is $5 each. I know that my district has a contract with it. So you can, but I have to tell you, I contact a lot of software companies as part of what I do. And the people at Wixie, they just have true heart. They're amazing. And so, and there's going to be even more improvements this summer. So if you're interested, definitely try it out. But I would, they're really receptive if you tag them. There's Tech for Learning on social media, and they're just wonderful. So we pay for it by district in my district. Somebody asked about Pear Deck having a free version. Pear Deck has, so for free, you can have the multiple choice text, number, and website. So those 4 are free. The drawing and draggable are part of premium. However, if you want, what you can do is you can use one of their templates in the free version. And if you take a template that's a drawing or a draggable, you can turn it into, you can like erase everything but the type of slide, and you can then make it into a one that you can use. So that's a little workaround. But the people at Pear Deck are usually really good. They'll usually at least give you a 30-day version. I've used both Pear Deck and Nearpod. Pear Deck has just, I'm a Pear Deck regional coach, so I happen to be team Pear Deck, but Flashcard Factory is free 100% of the time. So definitely some great ideas. I see a lot of you are also loving Adobe Spark. It's really, really great. My feeling is if I'm sharing a tool, I really believe in it. I talk about 10 tools, and we've discussed most of them in what we're doing right now. And as part of being my Transform Tech tools. And so, we've gone through pretty much all of them here. So we've talked about Pear Deck and Flashcard Factory and Smithsonian Learning Lab and Adobe Spark. I think the only one that's missing here that I haven't talked about is Google Forms. So we've really covered most of them. And I just love all of your comments. Awesome. So now we're going to go to the last part of today's presentation. You guys have been phenomenal. And we're going to talk about how do we empower ourselves with sticky tech tools. I always joke that from the time I started teaching in 1997 until 2017, I was an okay teacher. But when I discovered Twitter in 2017, everything changed for me. And so that's one of the reasons I spend time as part of the Transform and Making Learning Sticky, talking about empowering yourself. So we're going to talk about Twitter connections, podcasts, and live streams in the last little bit. So the first thing is we're going to talk about is getting connected with a PLN. And then we're going to talk about some Twitter chats. So one of the things when I first got involved with social media, I just kind of like piecemealed my social media together. And then it turned out in 2020, I got hacked and I had to start all over. And when I started over, I did it very differently. And so I found communities that I could interact with. So here's some of the communities that I just find are super important to connect with if you want to be a connected educator. Teach Better. Their idea is you want to teach better today than you did yesterday and better tomorrow than you did today. Thrive in EDU came out of COVID. Teaching this year was hard, and Thrive in EDU was there to support you and make it less hard. Teachers on Fire is all about that support as well. Codebreaker, they want to kind of break the status quo, supporting teachers. DBC Inc., Dave Burgess Consulting. They publish books, but they also have a pretty supportive community. Road to Awesome LLC is my publisher, but it's also a growing community. And even now, I even have my own community now on Facebook for Tannenbaum Tech. So if you're interested in joining that, you can find that there as well. Twitter chats were something I didn't dig into my first year on Twitter. I first was like, I can't handle that. And then when I became a tech coach, I was like, I can't ask my teachers to do things that I won't do. So I tried it. These are some that I really like because they're really great ways to connect with others. PD for You and Me is a Saturday morning chat at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. And what it does is every week they have a topic. And during that conference, during that time, it's just like a conversation. There are no set questions. Teach Positive is super important. That's 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. And we have enough negativity in our world. It really focuses on that positivity. Tuesdays at 8 p.m. is the Code Breaker chat, focusing on how we can be innovative and try new things. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And all of these are half an hour chats. And then Thursday, perhaps my favorite of all, is the Teach Better chat. It used to be called Mastery Chat. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. It used to be an hour chat. Now it's a half an hour chat with a live stream afterwards. That whole idea of getting better each day. They're just great ways to connect. When it comes to podcasts, so many great options. And in fact, I give you 3 here, but honestly, I could probably give you 50. The more connected I get, the more I find I have friends who do podcasts, and it's really hard to keep up. But these are ones that I always keep up with. Teach Better Talk is done by the Teach Better team. Leader of Learning is done by Dan Kreines, and EDU Duct Tape is done by Jake Miller, who I believe presented at AETC because I saw him posting on Twitter. He's awesome. So Teach Better Talk basically embodies that Teach Better mindset. They want you to be better today than you were yesterday and better tomorrow than you were today. And the 2 people who host it are hilarious. Their banter will keep you so entertained. Every time they interview somebody, I find somebody else to follow on social media. Leader of Learning is Dan Kreines. I love his idea that no matter what your title is, you're a leader of learning. And so that's just so important, because if you're a classroom teacher, you're leading your students. If you're a librarian, you're leading your school to make sure that you're embracing that literacy and those research skills. So no matter what you're doing, you're a leader of learning. And once again, anybody who's interviewed in there, I tend to want to connect with afterwards. I couldn't end this without talking about Jake Miller and EDU Duct Tape. I love his metaphor for using technology as duct tape or as a way to solve problems. And every week the guests use technology to solve a problem. He's just amazing. I know he has a book coming out soon as well. I just love it's entertaining. It makes me laugh, but I also learn a whole lot. So the last one we're going to talk about with empowering yourself is live streams. And to be honest, I feel like live streams is a relatively new phenomenon. So during COVID, people couldn't interact with each other, and these live streams became so important. And so most of these live streams happen through a program called StreamYard, where they're streamed to Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and sometimes Twitch. And so these are all great opportunities for you to learn in many amounts. Teachers on Fire Roundtable is done by Tim Cavey. It's at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. And Tim Cavey interviews amazing educators based on a central topic. So like last week, he interviewed assistant principals talking about end of the year reflections. I went on one early in 2021 where I shared my one word 2021. Every week it's different. Find one that's interesting. They interact with the people and with the audience in the comments. And it's a great way to learn. Dave Burgess Consulting does one on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central. They say they give a free book every time. I have yet to win. I'm still waiting for my free book from them. But they always interview an author and provide a free mini PD session. This is great if you're trying to find books to read and you just want to get a little bit of a synopsis about them and, kind of get an idea of what the author is, where the author is coming from. And then the Empower Half Hour is on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Central. It's with Darren Peppard, Frank Radensky, and Bradley Skinner. They have this joke that every week they talk about relationships because obviously that's so key to what all of us do. And it's a half an hour on a Wednesday night. Really great program with lots of great information. Okay, we are going to go back to that Jamboard again. So if you have not grabbed that link, please go ahead. I'm going to put it one more time in that social wall. And we are going to go to page 3. Wow, you guys are really great at participating. If I saw somebody put something about how to teach kindergartners how to use iPads, if you're interested in that, come to my Creating with Little session at 11, because I will actually talk about that there. But yeah, you guys have so many great comments. Amazing. Let's go to our next page. What we're going to do here is we're going to do something called the 4 C's. I want you to pick at least one, share with me a connection you made to today's session, a challenge you have about today's session, a key concept idea that you think is that's important from today's session, or a change in attitude or thinking. So please go ahead and participate. And Veronica, thank you for your comment. I very, very much appreciate it. I love what I do, and I'm glad that it is showing. I have to say, I love what I'm seeing on our 4 C's right now. So many really insightful comments. I put some arrows on them. Just amazing. I always, say that when I go to do a presentation, it energizes me, but you guys are energizing me even more, which is just, I'm just so excited about seeing all the things you're saying about checking out chats and connecting with others. You know, about that technology. You were not just using technology to use it. Just amazing. I can't say enough about it. So with that being said, it seems hard to believe, but we're pretty close to the end. So just a couple of things before we close today. First of all, I'm going to put a link in the social wall for a feedback form. I know you probably have something as part of this conference, but I really do value feedback in that if you're interested in learning more about some of the things I've shared, you can opt into a weekly mailing list that I do on Tuesdays where I share tech tips. It also will offer you the possibility, if you're interested in getting some Tannenbaum tech stickers. So, you know, you can do that. You all have my email now right there. If you're not connected with me on social media, please follow me and I'll follow you back. You also have my webpage where all my blogs are. And then, you know, if there are things that you're interested in, like I said, this comes from this book. In this book, it goes into much more detail about all of the tech tools, including Wixie. It has QR codes with trainings. In addition, it also talks about, you know, connecting with others and some of the things I went through. So not that I'm just trying to sell my book, but if this message resonated with you, there is a link right there as well. I just have really enjoyed our session today. If there's any questions, please feel free to put them in the social wall. In 15 minutes, I am doing another session on, I think, creating with littles. Thank you, Jennifer. And then, so if you're a littles teacher, I'm going to talk about promoting agency with them and how to help them create and give you some ideas that you can take with you. And then at 11 o'clock, I'm sharing amplifying thinking routines, which is all the stuff we were doing in Jamboard, using technology tools. Please feel free to reach out. Like I said, I just love, I love that I get to do what I love as part of my job and as part of the things that I do outside of my job. And it was just really a pleasure interacting with all of you today. So if there aren't any questions, if there are questions, please feel free to put them in. But like I said, I really do appreciate it if you do the feedback survey. And I would love to, my feeling is when I do a presentation, I'm hoping that I'm beginning the beginning of a relationship where we can learn from each other. So any questions? Looks like I'm not seeing anything pop up. So, and look at the clock. We have 1 minute left. So thank you so much for coming today. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yay! Well, Petra, I'm so glad you're going to be with me all morning. Awesome. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Please feel free to connect. And I think that we are at time now. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.